What's up guys, Jaboozle here, back with a brand new Warzone Mobile topic video, and like the title of the video says, Warzone Mobile hasn't really made that much money since launch. Now we're going to go ahead and look at this article here by Game World Observer, where they basically talk about Warzone Mobile's revenue and how much it's actually made, not only since the actual global launch of the game, but since the soft launch, which, you know, it was available in places like Australia, for example, for many months. I think it might have even been like a year or something like that prior to the global launch. They basically got all the data and showcased exactly how much money they've made, and honestly, it is not that much. As always, if you end up enjoying this video and you'd like to see more mobile gaming content, then please make sure to subscribe to the channel. But yeah, anyway, we're just gonna look at this article here. As you guys can see, it says Call of Duty Warzone Mobile generates 2.3 million in the first 2 weeks, looking bleak compared to the launch of COD Mobile. Now, for reference, this was written basically like 2 weeks ago. It's the 22nd now of April. It was written on the 5th, so 17 days, a little bit over 2 weeks ago. Obviously they've made more money since then, but this isn't really that much outdated or anything like that, and it's still very interesting to actually look at. So they went on to say, according to App Magic, Call of Duty Warzone Mobile generated 2.3 million in in-app purchases, reduced by platform, blah blah whatever, between March 21st and April 4th. So that's basically the first like 2 weeks or so of the game's actual launch. In lifetime revenue, including the soft launch period, the game has now surpassed 3.1 million. So basically what they're saying is the game since soft launch period, so basically when it was available before the global release date in places like Sweden, Australia, Chile, places like that, the game only made about $3 million, counting all of that revenue since basically the 5th of April. That's not that much money. I mean, that's basically like months and months of revenue added up, and it's only in the single digit range, which compared to other mobile games, even compared to other Activision mobile games, this is really not that much money. I know obviously for the average person like us and stuff, this is a crazy, crazy amount of money that we probably won't ever see, but for the game like Call of Duty, it's really low numbers. So another interesting thing that they pointed out is the US was the #1 country by revenue, which honestly is not that surprising, basically accounting for nearly 55% of the 2.3 million that they've made after the global launch. So basically the US is the biggest spender in this game. 55% of the revenue is just from the US, followed by Japan with almost 7%, and then Mexico at 5%, the UK at 2.5%, and then Brazil at 2.2%. So these are the top spending regions in Warzone Mobile right now. It's the US, Japan, Mexico, UK, and Brazil. We're going to look at another article here comparing some of these numbers to another very popular release that actually ended up shutting down, which many of you guys will know, Apex Legends Mobile. As you guys can see in this article, this basically was written around the time that they actually shut the game down. Apex Mobile made about 36 million in revenue with 36 million total downloads. That was, of course, basically at the end of its life, when they basically announced that it was going to be shutting down. So as you guys can see, both downloads and revenue peaked at launch in May of 2022. That's when the game launched. They got 15 million downloads in the launch period of May. Now the interesting part is when you see the actual revenue that Apex Legends Mobile made in its launch date. In May of 2022, they made 6.7 million in revenue in just that first month of actually releasing. So again, if we go back to the other article, Warzone Mobile made 3.1 million from soft launch all the way up basically until now. So they made half of what Apex Legends Mobile made, and they had many months of soft launch in places again like Sweden, Australia, and Chile, and places like that. So Apex Legends in terms of revenue completely dwarfs what Warzone Mobile made in its first month. With Apex in its first month compared to what Warzone Mobile made in essentially its first year of soft launch, and then the first couple of weeks of global launch. Basically every month after that, Apex Mobile made, in June 6.7 million again, in July they made 5 million, in August 3 million, etc. So look, even in its worst months from September to December, which were the worst months basically until they actually announced that the game was going to be shutting down, they were making 3 million per month still. So in their worst months when Apex Mobile got shut down, they were still making what Warzone Mobile has made in its entire lifetime up until this point. So that's really crazy, and obviously the outcome of these numbers for Apex Legends Mobile was that EA announced that it was going to be closing down. Now, there is some context here though that we do need to actually mention to be a little bit, just fair and neutral and stuff like that. Apex Legends Mobile was a joint effort of, by EA and Tencent. We have no idea what that contract was like in terms of, who gets X amount of, the revenue and stuff like that. So EA basically deciding to shut the game down could be because maybe Tencent was getting a majority of the 36 million that they made and stuff like that. So, there is a little bit of context there that, isn't really applicable to Warzone Mobile, since this is made by Activision themselves. They're not sharing revenue with Tencent or anything like that. But it still is very interesting to see just how little money Warzone Mobile has made, even compared to another game similar to it that ended up shutting down. I think it was like 8 months into release, or like maybe 9 months into release or something like that. So just really interesting to see Warzone Mobile and how the launch and how the optimization specifically has gone, because of how bad it was. Basically, a lot of people are struggling to run the game even still now on the 22nd of April. People are still struggling to run the game correctly, and this is basically the outcome. The game has made very little money compared to other mobile games, compared to even other Activision mobile games like we mentioned. This article does also go ahead and show how much money Warzone Mobile made compared to Call of Duty Mobile, and it's pretty crazy. Call of Duty Mobile had a way more impressive launch globally on October 1st, 2019, and it generated 14 million in its first 2 weeks, averaging around 1 million per day. They made 14 million in its first 2 weeks. Warzone Mobile made 2 million in its first 2 weeks. So they basically made 7 times the amount of money with Call of Duty Mobile. That just goes to show how important optimization is for lower end users, for mid-range users and stuff like that, because Call of Duty Mobile ran significantly better on lower to mid-range devices than Warzone Mobile did. And look, the numbers show it literally made 7 times the amount of money. People were more likely to spend money on skins and battle passes and stuff like that because they could actually run the game. It's also shown in the actual downloads. I mean, look, it says during that same period, during that first 2 weeks, they got 66 million downloads, half of that, which was just in the first 3 days. Remember, Warzone Mobile in its first 2 weeks received 20 million downloads. So 20 million for Warzone Mobile versus 66 million with Call of Duty Mobile, literally triple the amount of downloads. Again, it just goes to show just how important optimization is when it comes to mobile games, because the majority of users are going to be playing on lower end phones, mid-range phones, older flagships, from 4, 5, 6 years ago and stuff like that. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention about this is that, again, just to be kind of neutral and fair, there is one specific thing that we do have to keep in mind when it comes to player spending in Warzone Mobile, and that is cross progression. I actually mentioned this in my podcast with my friend ABXY, who's a fellow content creator, and basically we talked a little bit about cross progression and how it could have potentially influenced people to not spend money in Warzone Mobile because they had already spent money in previous Call of Duty games. Obviously, Warzone Mobile has that cross progression with Modern Warfare 3, so a lot of people who might have already been playing Modern Warfare 3 might have already bought skins or battle passes and stuff over there, and that stuff carried over to Warzone Mobile, so there was no real need for them to spend more money on skins and stuff like that because they already had skins literally day one. That could be a reason why some people didn't buy that much stuff in Warzone Mobile in its first 2 weeks, but really what I think the real reason why, because if you look at the downloads compared to COD Mobile and stuff, I really think it was just because of the optimization. I really do think that the optimization has just completely messed up Warzone Mobile's launch, and hopefully they do end up fixing it and continue to fix it and stuff, because I mean, if Apex Mobile shut down with these numbers, obviously that doesn't really look too good for Warzone Mobile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you guys think that this is going to affect Warzone Mobile's longevity, if it's going to have the same outcome as Apex, or do you think it's going to be totally fine and Activision is just going to keep pumping money into this even if it is losing it? Let me know what you guys think. Very interested in hearing your guys' thoughts. But with all of that being said, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.